I never thought I'd open up about something this personal, this raw. But when the person you love the most strips away your dignity, not in private where wounds might quietly heal, but in public as entertainment for others, something inside you changes. It doesn't just bruise your ego, it rearranges your sense of self. Her name was Leah. We met 4 years ago through mutual friends. She was radiant, magnetic in a way that drew people to her effortlessly. She spoke with volume, laughed with abandon, and never once apologized for taking up space. I found it disarming. While I was the quieter one, more reserved and comfortable behind the scenes, she moved through life like it was a spotlighted stage, and she the star. First, I thought we balanced each other well. She brought energy and color. I brought stability and calm. I didn't crave attention. I've always been the dependable type. Steady, low-key, grounded. I value loyalty, hard work, and keeping personal matters well personal. But over time, I started noticing something unsettling. Leah had this fixation with appearances. She'd casually comment on who had toned up, or who was starting to let themselves go. At first, I dismissed it as harmless chatter, the kind of idle observations people make without malice. But soon it became clear. It wasn't idle. It was how she measured worth, how she maintained control. Every comment was a subtle dig disguised as charm, a way to keep others just beneath her. The turning point came on a Friday night at her friend Clara's apartment. It was a laid-back gathering, music, wine, and a mix of Leah's university friends and mutual acquaintances. At some point, the group settled into a game that started as light-hearted truth or dare, but slowly morphed into something edgier. That's when Clara tossed out the prompt. What's one thing you'd change about your partner? The room laughed. I smiled, assuming Leah might joke about how long I take to parallel park or how I always lose the remote. But she didn't hesitate. With a smirk and after a long sip of wine she said, "Well, I wouldn't mind if he was a little more equipped, if you know what I mean." The room fell into an uneasy mix of chuckles and throat-clearing. Some looked at their drinks. A few glanced at me, waiting to see how I'd react. Froze. Then she added with a grin. "He tries hard, don't get me wrong. But it's like bringing a twig to a sword fight." There it was. Punchline at my expense. A cheap laugh at the cost of my masculinity. I sat still, face flushed, forcing a smile I didn't feel. I laughed along quietly. Not because it was funny, but because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me crack. But inside something did. It wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it. The glee in her voice. The performance of it. I wasn't her partner in that moment. I was her prop. Her punchline. Her stepping stool for attention. After that night, something inside me began to shift. I didn't confront her, didn't explode or make a scene. I simply started retreating. I stopped reaching out first. I stopped suggesting dinners, stopped checking in. My silence grew while her confusion did too. "Why are you being so distant?" she asked more than once. "It was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." But I wasn't being distant. I was healing. Quietly. Deliberately. I was reclaiming the parts of myself she had chipped away at, piece by piece. I returned to the gym, not to impress anyone but to rebuild my confidence. I took a job offer in Seattle that I hadn't told anyone about, not even her. I started therapy. I reconnected with old friends. Slowly the fog lifted. Could breathe again. Think clearly. Stand taller. Then came the moment she never saw coming. 2 months later, at a friend's engagement party, I walked in alone. Different haircut. Healthier frame. Clear eyes. Not dramatic, not performative, just me, whole again. Leah was there, naturally, in the center of the room, laughing too loud, commanding attention like always. She pretended not to see me, but I knew she had. Everyone did. When someone asked how I'd been, I said simply, "Just accepted a new position in Seattle. Moving next month." Leah's face shifted. "What? You didn't tell me." I met her eyes with calm finality. "Figured you were too busy turning me into a joke to have a real conversation." The room went quiet. I didn't flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I just turned and walked away. No storming out. No angry declarations. Just quiet, deliberate closure. That night she called me 3 times. Left a voicemail with a shaky voice. Half apology, half confusion. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because I no longer owed her anything. Not my pain, not my healing, not my attention. When someone turns your deepest vulnerabilities into comedy for a crowd, you don't go back. You move forward. Now I live in a new city, surrounded by people who know me for who I am. Not what I bring, not how I compare. People who see value in my presence, not in how easily I can be torn down. As for Leia, she's likely still holding court in familiar circles, masking insecurity with sarcasm, spinning new stories to fill the silence I left behind. But the irony, she mocked me to feel powerful. But the moment I walked away, she finally realized. I was the only one who ever truly respected her. And now she's the one left hollow,